Ever wonder what a retired law enforcement officer and a social worker wife do on vacation? Well, in Donna Rewolinski's novels, they solve murders. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to be talking to you today about the Novice Mysteries. So I want to just kind of focus on the Novice Mystery Ireland. And you have a duo for protagonists.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that you're writing from the male perspective rather than the female perspective. And actually, just as a side note, you do a great job with that. Men think differently than women, and you really have that just straightforward, he's going down this line of logic and you can just see it. So why did you choose to do it that way?
My husband has been in law enforcement for nearly 36 years. We've been together over 40. So I've gotten very used to how he approaches investigations. He is both smart and patient and methodical. So I felt if I stayed in the roles we both mimic in life, it would be simpler for my mindset. I have a very different personality than my husband does. So I stayed in his mindset, also thinking that as a law enforcement agent, discussing cases, speaking with other law enforcement, he would have more of an in that made sense when you're discussing an investigation. And as a duo, they're a really good team. They really do complement each other. And it's that the yin and the yang, and they're not really opposites in yin and yang. They're really meant to be complementary. So strengths and weaknesses balance each other. And that's why I made it a team.
Yeah, and they work beautifully together, and I really enjoy that. So as I'm reading, you're in this little Irish village that is just delightful and terrifying also. All the crime that goes on with just those people. But I can hear the Irish accents as I'm reading, and you can tell like kind of the different backgrounds of the Irish locations where they're coming from. Can you tell me your process of how you get that right?
We have traveled to Ireland more than once, and just kind of listening, being immersed in it. I try to focus on how they're speaking when they're being casual with each other versus when they're in a more professional role, such as a tour guide. It's sitting in a pub and listening to them interact and things like that. And that's what my husband and I really enjoy, is kind of, getting out, so you're not just getting the perspective from the, like a tour guide. It's listening to the locals and how they talk and how they discuss with each other.
Yeah, that's the best thing about travel, is getting that little bit of immersion. And reading your books is kind of like a little bit of I'm traveling to Ireland, so I feel what it's like now. So your website has pictures of you at Blarney Castle. So it was a perfect segue. Just tell us a little bit more about your travels, not just to Ireland, but to everywhere.
Oh, sure. My husband and I both love to travel. It's always the what's over that next hill? Let's go over there. So we've been to Ireland a couple of times. We've been to England several times. We've been to Cuba twice. We have been to Korea twice. We went to Machu Picchu. We were in the Amazon. We have been through Europe. My granddaughter is 10, and she just is so excited she would like us to take her to Paris, because when we talk about Paris and walking through Paris, and we've been to several other countries. We did a trip through Vienna, Budapest, and Prague, and we just love to travel. And so when a opportunity arises, we're more than ready to get on board. In fact, the joke around my friends is this pandemic must just be killing you, because we haven't traveled. And in fact, all of our tours that we had signed up for and had anticipated going on have been canceled. I mean, currently we should be getting ready to go to India, and then followed by Poland.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen. So I mean, it's this year and a half thus far, and still looking into the future, it's been very, very disappointing from our point of view of having to be, like in our own backyard. We've done a few trips, but it's not quite the same.
Not quite the same at all.
Yeah.
Hopefully things are at least looking up in some parts of the world.
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned that your husband is in law enforcement for 36 years, as is your main character. You have a master's in social work, as does your other main character. Yes. So how much of you and your husband are in Dan and Karen?
Quite a bit. In fact, the joke among friends is they're not sure, should they be calling us Dan and Karen? When our dentist sees us, he does call us Dan and Karen. So he's like, it's Dan and Karen visiting. A lot of the relationship, some of the conversations are drawn directly from our real life, how we have approached not a murder, but just other things that have come up in life, how his way of looking at it, my way of looking at it, how do you merge the two views to come out to the best solution? So there's quite a bit of us in the book.
Oh, that's awesome. Because they're a lovely couple. It just
yeah.
makes us want to know you and your husband even more. All right, so your character, your character Karen, and probably you, knows a lot about the symbolism of flowers. That comes up quite a few times in the Novice Ireland book. Is that something that you've always been interested in, or is that something you did research for this particular story?
I do love to garden. I don't think I have as deep a knowledge as Karen has, so there was quite a bit of research on flowers and symbolism to flowers. But what I thought was, because it is a series, flowers are really something that kind of cross cultures. So it's not something you would solely find in one country. I thought that as a thread would be symbolism that could be carried out throughout the series, wherever you're at. So whatever country you're in will have, flowers. And so it can weave from one to another.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. I always go back to Hamlet and Ophelia just walking through with the
yes
with her weeds saying this weed this. But it's very impactful. Okay. If you can answer this question without giving anything away.
Yes.
What would be in your murderer's refrigerator and their trash?
The trash, I think of what's left over from their implements of death, whether it is flowers from a poison, whether it's a container that has something poisonous, whether or not a weapon has been cleaned with those, that would be in the trash. In the refrigerator, I'm not sure that much would be different, because the idea is that your murderer doesn't stand out so much. They're not a crazed, weapon wielding person that really does stand out. It is really, the frightening part is how ordinary they can be, that they tend to blend into the fabric of the society they're in. And that's the scary part, is you could walk past them, they could be your shopkeeper, and it would not necessarily raise an alarm in you that this is someone to be concerned about.
Yeah, that is really terrifying. Especially, you have this village of, is it pronounced Ballyram?
Right. It's made up. It is fictitious. I normally in my books, I do create a town. So I don't want to slight anybody that goes, oh, they're picking on our town. People are going to think there's these crazed murderers running through our town. So I make up a town so that it could be any town.
Okay, and just without picking on anybody's town, did you come across any villages like this in Ireland that you were like, okay, I need to use this main street, or I need to make sure I have that particular field?
When the nice thing about when you do a tour is you do tend to go through a number of towns. And I always do try to make, when we travel, I try to make notes about what does the architecture look like? What kind of cars are they driving? What are they serving when you stop for a meal? And what I was really noticing through many of the smaller Irish villages was how the array of colors, some can be pastel, some can be vivid, some are, black and white, but they do seem to work in harmony, standing next to each other. And so not necessarily any one town, but more of a feel that you would like to walk down these streets and just meander, and that there would be shops on both sides. And you would just feel like you just wanted to keep walking through and just kind of be there for like a day.
I very much did, yes. As I was reading, it was like, yeah, other than the murders, this town sounds fantastic.
Yes, yes.
I would love to rent this little house. And yeah, and you did mention, I believe Karen had said she was surprised by the colors. And it was expecting more of the black and white. And that surprised me as well.
Right.
I've never been to Ireland. So that sounds lovely. Yeah. Now, was that something that you were expecting the first time you went, or was that a surprise as well?
I'm also a real lover of watching travel shows. My husband and I are just terrible to watch, like Rick Steves when he travels, because it's kind of this running list of, we have to go there, we have to go there, we have to go there, and I mean, it just, we have this ongoing list of places we want to. So yes, I think that watching them or seeing a photograph doesn't do them justice to the scale, and to really encompass something fully. It is, to me, it was a tad surprising about how vibrant a street can be all the way down. You're not just picking out one or two of the buildings that you think, oh, these are really nice, but really rather to take in the whole vista and see how it works together. That's, I think, probably one of the most surprising things, especially about Ireland, and the fact both in Ireland and in Italy, we found that, I mean, basically you could trip and fall into some place to eat or someplace to stay. They're very prevalent. So
yeah, that sounds lovely. It very much made me want to get on a plane and fly to Ireland. Okay, well, I think that's all of our questions for today, unless you have anything else you'd like to add, just for your fans.
No. Also, I have out Novice Mystery Mexico, which really is a part of very good friends of ours. He is from Mexico and he still owns a house down there. And we did vacation with him in his hometown, which is a very small hometown, about an hour outside of Guadalajara. So that was fun to do because we were really in this hometown. And his name is Army, her name is Eva, and Army really did show us around and show us his town. Everything from the cemetery where most of his family is buried. We went to friends and relatives' houses, just showing up. We went to the village, had almost every night it seemed they had some little fair going on. And so that was just a ton of fun to do that vacation because it was really living like a local. We did do a little sightseeing, and then the third book that I'm finishing up now is set in France. That's a little less touristy and a little more like Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. It's supposed to be a murder mystery weekend that really does turn into a murder mystery.
Oh,
so that's that. And then,
awesome.
And then the next one will be Italy, and it's going to be set in Venice during Carnival, when you have this pageantry, but you have people in costumes and masks and large crowds. And so identifying people is going to be more of a challenge because of it. So.
All right, very much fun things to look forward to. And I'm looking forward to reading Novice Mexico. I'm in Arizona, so I've been to Mexico a few times. And I think what a lot of people don't realize about Mexico is like Cabo is very different than, say, Cancun or
Correct.
something Yucatan and or Guadalajara. So it is vibrant and different and all of that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, excellent. All right, but thank you for this. This was so much fun, and it was such a wonderful opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.